Environmentalists stop treating the symptoms and ban single-use plastic. My research paper is on environmentalism surrounding single-use plastic. Environmentalists have engaged with the local, state, and national governments to institute policies that require consumers to stop using single-use plastics. Mainstream environmentalism individualized recycling. Recycling makes plastic seem nice to environmentalists. Recycling is widespread. Consumers and environmentalists recycle. And corporations have influenced and supported individualist discourse of recycling as solution to waste. Maniantes. Recycling rhetoric prevents environmentalists from being adversarial to capitalist economy. Polito. And the way it prevents that is through recycling being complicit with the market in that consumers continue to consume because things are seen as recyclable, but it is not communicated that very few things are actually getting recycled in the capitalist solution of having recycling management. And recycled waste has become a global commodity, which influences the way that the recycling management doesn't work right now. Recycling rhetoric can distract environmentalists by making them be aware of their individual footprint and actions and get them pushed into, and then they'll go beyond the recycling and go with zero waste movement of not consuming packaging, can get caught up in trying to perform individually in a capitalist society that is difficult for that. Plastic pollution is a social problem. Uh, as according to Harrison, was pesticide drift issue. Um, the existence of plastic pollution is a result of social issues around how to solve it, and social power dynamics have affected preventing it from getting worked on. And plastic industry is shaping the terms of regulatory debate by making state governments pass laws that create plastic regulations being under the authority of statewide, therefore harder to implement new plastic bans and plastic fees in the United States. And the ubiquitous use of plastic, despite its harm to the health of the environment and humans, is an example of social power dynamics controlling human actions, which lead to environmental damage and problems. Single-use plastic is a large use of the plastic that is produced in the world, and plastic is made out of oil, therefore part of the oil industrial complex, supporting fossil fuels. Single-use plastic state regulations. The Global South has led the way in creating and doing these bans and fees as a way to handle single-use plastic. And Eritrea, Rwanda, South Africa, Bangladesh, and Taiwan enacted these bans as early as in the early 2000s, whereas much later cities and smaller local areas have started to ban these. And then recently, countries have banned single-use plastic bags, and in the 2017 to now, dozens of countries have announced they're going to regulate plastic straws, and this was motivated by a 2017 uh, International Coastal Cleanup report by Ocean Conservancy, which facilitated the coastal cleanup with over 150 activist groups of environmentalists who cared about ocean and marine animal safety, beach, coastal litter, and waterways efficiency for drinking water. The United Nations featured this report and spread it to many countries, governments. And the report showed that many single-use items are in the top 10 coastal pollution cause of marine pollution. This is a state of the current plastic bag bans, and I can show how it's a widespread movement within government state policies, and that it could be changed to have more plastic straw brands as well in these same areas. Um, with the plastic bag bans, this policy it has been unclear whether it's effective, with 30% of countries having reduced consumption, but 20% with no difference and 50% without data. With the plastic straw bans, there has been a need for environmental justice in the creation of these policies because the public and disability rights activists have responded to plastic straw bans. Um, in 2018 in New York City, um, disability rights activists uh, protested against Starbucks' announcement of their national ban on plastic straws, and stated a leader, Alex Wong, founder and director of Disability Visibility Project, stated legislation needs to be a by request policy instead of complete bans, where some plastic straws would still be available. And writer Karen Hitzelberger suggested that uh, state and mainstream environmental activists must not have consulted with any people with disabilities to find out that plastic straws are needed, and that it would be an issue of accessibility for them to be taken away, and that the alternatives that um, members of the public and environmentalists spouted on social media of paper straws and metal reusable straws were physically unsafe for those that need plastic straws. This shows the need for participation and recognition forms of environmental justice to be integrated into political creation of environmental and business policies, as would be the justice shown in Harrison's article. In particular, response to the public is that people with disabilities, children, and seniors should be considered. And some green alternatives also damage the environment. Alternatives are not always better for the environment, such as biodegradable plastic behaving similar to plastic if it is not collected completely with waste management. And some bans and fees try to combat this by also reducing consumption of the alternatives, such as the California plastic bag ban that uh, also charges a levy for paper bags. And here are my image citations, more citations, and citations. Thank you.